Hi everyone, so today I wanted to talk about something a bit more serious since it's been something that I've been kind of dealing with the past while, for a long time. Yeah, so years ago, so I think for a lot of my life I've been dealing with a lot of mental health struggles, specifically like depression and anxiety, especially like social anxiety. I had a lot of trouble with that, and in the past few years I've been much better. Yeah, I feel like you don't really get like cured from it, but you just grow the strength to be in control of it so that it doesn't like control you as much. I don't know, but that's how I've been feeling. Like I felt like I was in a lot more control over it, and I'm a lot better at managing it and stuff. And even now I do still feel that, but recently I do feel like I kind of relapsed a little bit, and I've been having a lot of struggles with this recently. Yeah, so recently I've been having like anxiety attacks like quite often, a lot more often than I used to. So when my anxiety was at its peak, like when I was around like 20, around that time I'd get them like whenever there was a particularly difficult situation or something that was like really stressful for me or something. During those situations I'd get it, and I don't know, like that, just whenever that happens, or yeah, something like that. But these days, like very recently, like I think maybe a month ago or a few weeks ago, I don't know, but I feel like it just came back again. It hasn't happened for years. I haven't had any anxiety attacks for a long time, but very recently I think something must have like triggered it or something, and now it's happening very frequently. So whenever something triggers me, I just start, and it's not easy. Actually, even right now I'm still trying to like calm down from an anxiety attack I had a few hours ago. But yeah, right now like it's a little tough because I do live alone in Korea, and honestly this is not the best location for dealing with these sort of things. But just because like I've experienced this in the past and I've been able to kind of overcome it before, I don't feel I don't feel like it's weighing down on me as much as it used to. So I guess I have like that going for me. But I just kind of wanted to talk about what I've been going through and how what it's like going through this in Korea. So yeah, for me these days, I'm still trying to work out what's triggering it at the moment, because I think once I know what's triggering it, I'll be able to try to like fight against it or something. But I know that one of the things I shouldn't be doing is trying to fight this by myself. I think that's one of the mistakes I always did, is that I tend to like isolate myself, and I just assume that I'm a burden to everybody, and I just create this like narrative in my head, and I pushed everyone away because I was just scared of like coming on too strong to people and seeming so needy and asking too much. And I guess I do still feel that to some extent, but actually that's one of the things that's making it hard for me as well, because I do feel that even now, but I know that I can't do this by myself, and I need to seek help. So one thing I am considering is seeking help, but I'm trying to find like maybe a counselor or something that's in a better location, because the one that I went to last year, it's a very inconvenient place for me to go to. Like it takes a lot out of me going there. So I'm trying to find one that's a bit closer, hopefully. But I've been really busy, so I haven't had much time to go look for one. But hopefully this week I can find one, hopefully. But I think I still just need to like reach out to some friends or something. I know from experience that this is not something that anyone can fight on their own, and I think keeping it to yourself like makes it worse, because you start telling yourself things, you start creating these stories in your head, and you start believing things when nothing, there's no proof of any of these things that you say in your head. You just make up the proof and you believe it. But yeah, my experience going through the stuff in Korea, it's tough, honestly. You need to be very resilient if you're planning to come and live in Korea, and especially work in Korea. You need to be very resilient, and you need to know, you need to have people to talk to, and you need to have the ability to actually go and reach out to people, because I feel that like people who are not good at this, you're gonna collapse very easily here. I've had a lot of experiences with trying to reach out to people, and it hasn't always gone as I had hoped. I remember when I first came to Korea, there was someone that I thought I was kind of close with, like without knowing, he really helped me out, because he was just so nice to me, and some of the things he said to me, I felt like it kind of like spoke directly into the stuff I was going through, and I just felt really like touched by it. And he didn't know like how much of an impact he had on my life at that time, especially with what I was going through. So I really wanted to thank him for it. So I bought him dinner, and I tried to explain to him about it. It's odd because like I remember he just like kind of just like laughed at me about it. Like he understood that I was like depressed or something, but for him it was just like, for him it's just a very simple thing. Like if you're feeling depressed, just go drink, just go see your friends, something like that. Like it's not as deep as what I was making it sound like. But for me it was something that has been affecting me for over a year, and I was just like, I was struggling so much with it. Like I would have like panic attacks, and I'd have like nightmares, and I just randomly like cry at night, like those kind of things. And like it was really, really bad. And just like having him laugh at me and treat it like it was nothing, like I can't blame it on him. Like it's not his fault that he thinks like that, but at the same time, like it made me really self-conscious about it, and I started feeling like I can't like trust people. But then eventually I was able to overcome this. But in that mindset, it was really hard for me to think clearly and think rationally about how I should respond to this and stuff. So that was kind of like, that was one of my first experiences like opening up to someone here. And he was a Korean, by the way. Yeah, and like I don't mean any disrespect to any Koreans in what I'm saying in this video, but this is just what I've experienced, and I know there are some Koreans who are very understanding and can deal with it very well. I felt like, in comparison to my experiences with Western people and with Korean people, it's completely different. It's not as recognized here, and people just aren't as aware of the reality of mental health stuff. And I'm sure a lot of people know that there's a big stigma in Korea about mental health, but it's like it's not only that, like beyond this stigma, a lot of people just straight up don't believe in it. So another one of the ones that was really like, it was kind of hurtful for me, was that like I have this friend that I would consider like a pretty close friend, and even now we're still like pretty good friends. We don't talk a whole lot, but like every time we meet or talk, like we have a pretty good relationship. So there was one time like a couple years ago, when I was going through I was having a really, really low point at that time, and I decided to like share it with him and just get his thoughts on it, and just have someone listen to what I was going through. And his advice, I've actually heard it from a number of Koreans before, but he said like, you don't need to be depressed like that. Why are you letting yourself be depressed? Just what I do is I just work all the time, and then I don't have time to be depressed. And hearing that like made me so like upset, angry, annoyed, but I tried to explain to him like you have to deal with your problems. You can't just like ignore it and just work all the time. And he's like, no, I do it, like I do it all the time, and that's just what you gotta do. And like hearing that kind of like put the problem with Korea's mental health into perspective for me, because I feel like that's pretty much what a lot of Korean people do. And then this problem, because then they get stressed from work, or build like that goes on top of their depression, and then from that they just get addicted to something like drinking or gaming or whatever. And yeah, so like after that experience I realized like he's not someone I can open up about these things to. And that's the thing, like I don't want to, I'm aware that this is not like, I can't blame every single person for this, obviously, but I started to realize like that you have to really be careful about who you're sharing things to here, because not everyone can really understand, and they might, especially if you're not able to take things. Like I'm really fortunate that because there was a time when I was so much weaker, and if someone said something like that to me, I would have gotten so much more depressed. But at that time I kind of just tried to dismiss it, because I know that that's not like productive behavior. But I think like you need to have a lot of discernment about who you're going to confide in Korea, and you just need to be more aware, I guess, of the kind of people that you need and the kind of people that the people around you are, something like that. And another one of the things that this is one of the worst things that I've heard people say in Korea to me. So one of them, I'll talk about just two stories of when this happened. One of them, I went somewhere with some friends, and there was this girl here. There was this girl there that was like a very vocal atheist, and I'm a pretty devout Christian. So, and I think a lot of my friends know that. I'm not very pushy about it. I don't like go overboard about sharing it to people. Like if people ask me, I will say that I am, and I go to church every Sunday and all that kind of stuff. But this girl, she was drinking beer where we were, and I don't think she was drunk. Like she was on her first can of beer, like unless she was that weak, I don't know. But she suddenly just starts like asking, like out of nowhere, like I had just arrived like within like less than 10 minutes before this time, because her and the other people were already there. She just starts like asking me questions, like very like kind of like attacking questions to me about my beliefs. And I was trying to tell her like I'm not really comfortable about, like I don't want to answer that right now, because we're supposed to be meeting up and having fun and stuff, and she just throws that at me. So I just told like, oh, I don't want to like talk about that right now. And then she used that and said like, oh, why don't you want to answer? And she started trying to get all the other people against me, and that like I started getting an anxiety attack then, because I just felt like I was being ambushed, and I felt like I was being like personally attacked, and all my beliefs were being attacked. And I'm also like, I'm not very good with confrontation as well. So all of this like combined, like I just felt horrible. So I literally just like ran out of the place, and I started like rushing home. And this person called me later, and I just tried to just play it off as nothing. But then later on, like I don't know, but like basically what happened in these ends, they basically just told me I have to get over it or something, and that it's like they admitted that they made a mistake, but then they would tell me I have to just get over it. But I don't know, this is one of the things that I I hate when people say to me, or when people say to other people, when they just say, just get over it, or just don't be sad, just don't be this. Like, that is the worst advice you could give to anyone, honestly. And every time someone says that to me, it just makes me so angry. But another time, it's actually happened quite a few times, is that at work, one of my coworkers, the one that I share my office with, I think it just kind of came out during a conversation where I don't remember if I was talking about like how I was currently feeling, or if I was talking about how I felt in the past. Oh wait, no, I remember. So I was saying how like I don't really feel comfortable in a certain situation, and she said several things, but one thing she said, this is not what you should ever say to someone who's dealing with anxiety or whatever, but she was like, I'm going to change you. And I just felt so like, no, you can't change me. This is like not as simple as that. Like, if it was that easy, then like it would have happened already, but it's deeper than that. And the stuff that I'm going through, like internally, I wish it was easy as just like socializing and then overcome it. Like I'm a very social person. I'm hanging out with friends like quite a lot, but for me that's not what the problem is. It's a lot more than that. It's like this internal battle that I'm having with myself, and I'm constantly fighting myself, constantly fighting these negative thoughts, these self-hateful thoughts and self-abusive thoughts, and just stuff that's like you wouldn't want to hear about yourself, but they're all coming from me, and like I'm constantly like fighting against it, and that's what makes it so hard for me. And I don't think anyone can really, like, no one can change it, like, or even force me to change it. It takes time, and it takes a lot of like intentional effort, I guess. But another thing they said, because they really wanted me to do, I forgot what it was. There was something that they really wanted me to do, and I kept saying like, oh no, I don't really feel comfortable doing that, or I don't want to do that. And then they're just like, they say that you just need to stop thinking like that. You just need to change. Like they say those kind of things, and they say that quite a bit actually. These days, they're starting to understand me now, and they're not saying it as much, but in the past they used to say that quite a lot, like, oh, you just need to change, you just need to be like this. I'm like, I wish it was that easy, like, thanks, you cured me, but like, what can I do? Like, you have just, but that's some of the things, like, it's not as recognized here. I tried to explain that I have been diagnosed with actual mental illnesses in the past. And this teacher speaks like almost perfect English, so English is not even a problem, but even just in case, I even translated the names of the mental illnesses into Korean for them, and they seem to, like, when they heard the name of it, they got that it was a mental illness, but they still feel like the cure is just to overcome it, just to change. And I just wish that like people would understand how serious it is, how difficult it is, how complicated it is, and it's different for each person. Like, I can only share how it is from my perspective, how I've been dealing with it, how it's been affecting me, but every person goes through it very differently. And that's why I feel like you can't actually give advice to people who have mental illnesses. All you can really do is like give them like suggestions. You can tell them stuff that from your experience, but you can't tell them what they should do, because you don't know how they're going through it, how it's affecting them. So like, generally for me, if someone comes to me for advice about this stuff, I would just say like how I've dealt with it and how it's helped me, and then I just urge them to just give it a go, and if it doesn't work, then just try something else, because that's how I feel. Like, there's no universal band-aid for this kind of problem. And honestly, like, I wish that this stuff would become a lot more recognized in Korea. I feel like it is getting a little better these days, but it still has a long way to go. And one of the things that really makes me sad for this country is the fact that when an idol commits suicide, it's happened quite a few times in the past few years. The topic of mental health becomes really big at that time, and then it only lasts for a few days or a week or something like that, and then everyone just forgets about it again and goes back to the way they were before. And the fact that someone is committing suicide, someone who has so much fame, popularity, they're in the public eye, even their death is in the public eye as well, and people are able to just like still dismiss these things after seeing how far these things can take someone. It's honestly upsetting, and I really wish and pray for this country that it will become more recognized. And I'm aware that like Korea is obviously not the only country that has this kind of issue when it comes to mental health. There are a lot of countries that do. Just I live in Korea, and this is how my experiences with it in Korea. It's actually kind of therapeutic for me to talk about it, even on camera, because I do feel like I'm at a stage right now where I don't know who I have in my life that I'm actually able to confide in. I think like I've had like especially this year, I've had like a big transition with my friend groups and my relationships this year, and I think that's something I need to try and like understand more and really work out who in my life am I actually able to come to when, you know, these kind of things happen. And I think for anyone that's going through these kind of problems and mental illness, and if you're struggling with anything, seriously try to find someone to reach out to. This is not the kind of battle that you can win alone. And even if you do feel like you're a burden to people, because even I do feel like that too. I've experienced in the past how helpful and freeing it is to be able to fight this battle with another person. And I honestly do think this is not something that anyone should have to fight alone. And one of the things that I realized is that, like for me personally, but I feel like a lot of people who are struggling with things are the same. When one of my friends is going through something, I would like drop everything to help them, and I wouldn't want anyone to go through what I'm going through. So I would talk through everyone about everything. I would not feel like that person's a burden to me. But as soon as I need to do this, I want to do the same or need to do the same, I would start feeling like I'm bothering people, or I'm just annoying, I'm a burden, all that kind of stuff. And why do I feel like I have like these double standards towards myself? I'm so happy and okay with helping other people, but then when I need some help from someone, I feel like it's completely wrong. And that's something that all of us need to work on. We need to be able to seek help, to seek comfort, and just seek the presence of someone without feeling like we're a burden to them. And I think the people who make you feel that, you should really like hold on to them and don't like treat them well. Say thank you and let them know how thankful you are. Buy them food, make them food. Seriously. And if you feel like there's really like no one in your life that you can really come to, I'd say just look online. There's a lot of places to find those people that you can come to. Find friends that can lend you an ear when you need it. I've done a bit of that, like speaking to people online, and it does help. Like for me though, I'm the kind of person where I need like someone's physical presence. Otherwise it feels empty for me otherwise. But some people, I think a lot of people, they're okay with just speaking to a real person, whether it be online or over the phone or even in person. But even online, you might even be able to find someone who lives nearby. So there's a lot of ways to do that. You might have like groups on Facebook for it. There's subreddits that are dedicated to it. I might link some in the description of this video just in case anyone is looking for somewhere. I think I'll just like wrap up this video for now, but basically, yeah, this is what I've been going through for a little while now, and it sucks that like it's happening to me during the holiday season. Like I really hate that I'm going through this right now, but I know I will get through this, and I'm just because I have dealt with it in the past, I know what I have to do. Like I have to seek help. I shouldn't like let it prolong, and you know, those kind of things. So I'm going to start seeking help, and I'm going to get through this. And you know, I feel like it feels so good for me to be able to talk about this somewhere. So I hope that me talking about it can help somebody out there.